friends, welcome back to my channel, where today I'm going to be answering all your questions about amenorrhea. So I went on Instagram and I asked you guys to send me any questions that you had about amenorrhea. Now if you're new to my channel, you might not know that I was recently diagnosed with, let me get it right, hypothalamic amenorrhea, and I've been sharing my journey both on Instagram and YouTube. I get a lot of messages from girls who may be in similar situations and they ask me questions, and I just wanted a space where I could share all my answers, so this can be sort of like a go-to video for you to get a little bit more information about amenorrhea and also about my journey. Just a bit of a disclaimer, I've got a bit of a cold, so if I sound a bit nasal and I'm struggling for breath, I do apologise. So what I've done is I've written all the questions down in my phone, and where the questions might be similar, I've tried to sort of group them together so that I can answer maybe a few questions in one. So I've tried to keep the topic quite broad. I'll post the question underneath. Before we get into this, I just want to do a little bit of a disclaimer and say that I am not an expert. I am just sharing my experience, what I've learned along the way from like my doctors, and yeah, trial and error over the last months of me trying different things to get my period back. So as I say, by no means am I an expert. If you do have amenorrhea, I first advise going and seeking professional help, but hopefully some of the questions I answer in this video will help you along the way. Let's get straight into the video. If you like it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, as I'll continue to share my journey. If this isn't a bit of you and you prefer my eating videos, then don't worry, my next video is a what I eat in a day, and I've also got loads of other fun food videos coming up, so please don't forget to subscribe. Anyway, I've rambled on for long enough, let's get straight into the questions. Okay, so the first question is, what is amenorrhea? And I think this is a really good place to start. And in a nutshell, amenorrhea is a loss of your period or your menstrual cycle. So when your period stops, it's not regular. You might be getting them sporadically, or you might not be getting them at all. For me, I was on the pill, and I was obviously getting a monthly cycle because I was on the pill, and then when I came off it, I had no period whatsoever. And then over the last few months, I've sort of had irregular cycles. If you're sat here and you're somebody who doesn't have a period, yes, you may have amenorrhea if you've maybe not had a period for the last 3 months. That's usually how they measure it. So super simple to start off with. Amenorrhea is you not having a regular period. Question number 2 was asking how I got diagnosed. So bit of a backstory, I've been on the pill for a very long time, and whilst I was on it, I noticed that things had started to change with my cycle. So even though I was getting a period every month, which is like a withdrawal bleed from my pill, my cycles became shorter and my periods became a lot lighter. I went to my doctor and explained, and she said that this was normal. Sometimes when you're on the pill compared to your period before, your pill might help to sort of regulate your period, make it lighter and things like that, but I was somebody who'd been on the pill for a very long time, so it seemed a bit unusual that my period had changed. I'd been planning to come off the pill anyway, so I just bit the bullet and did it, and I waited and waited and I didn't get a period. So I spoke to my doctor again, and she asked me to give it 3 months. That is sometimes how long it sort of takes for your period to come back. And after those 3 months, I still hadn't had a cycle, so I went and got my bloods done. My bloods came back normal, which was really good. They tested my progesterone and my estrogen, and those levels were fine. So at this point, she said she wasn't too concerned. She wanted to give it a little bit more time because she thought that I had hypothalamic amenorrhea, which is basically where my brain isn't talking to my ovaries properly, and therefore I am not having a period. I did what she said. I just gave it time, and eventually, I think it took a few more months, I got my first cycle, which was amazing. And now I'm just at that stage where I need my cycles to become regular, and I need 3 regular cycles before I can say that I no longer have hypothalamic amenorrhea. Currently my cycles are quite long in between. I think it's like 35 days. So in terms of cycles, that's sort of on the longer end, which I'm not complaining about. So I'm currently waiting for my 3rd period, and fingers crossed it comes next week, and then I can say that I no longer have amenorrhea, which is just amazing because it's been the most hard and stressful journey ever. Yeah, that's how I was diagnosed. I was quite pushy with my doctor. I went, had my bloods done. I've kept in regular contact, and she did say if my period doesn't regulate, that she'll send me off for a scan to check that everything looks okay. Somebody else who'd been diagnosed with hypothalamic amenorrhea asked whether they need to stop exercising. And personally, I really just didn't think that was an option for me. Exercise for me is something that I do for my mental health as much as my physical health. So I just couldn't see myself giving up exercise altogether. So what I did instead was I got rid of any kind of like high intensity cardio driven exercise where I was like really spiking my heart rate. I also no longer do any kind of fasted workouts, any kind of fasted cardio. That has all gone out the window because it's really not good for female hormones. I'm used to moving my body every day, so I just incorporated yoga. So I would just do sort of like 10 to 15 minutes of yoga in the morning on days where I wasn't going to the gym, and that sort of like satisfied that craving for me to go to the gym. I've been doing long walks and things like that, so making sure that I'm doing my 10,000 steps. But personally, no, I didn't stop exercising completely, but I did definitely reduce the amount of exercise that I was doing. Obviously everybody's situation is different. If you're worried, I would try reducing your exercise first and seeing if that helps. I'll be honest, when I got my first period after not having it for months, it was at a time when I did stop exercising for about 2 weeks because I was not well and I physically couldn't exercise, and then I got my period. So I will definitely say that exercise does influence it, but do you have to stop completely? I would say no, because I have had other cycles from then. But stopping exercise, I feel, did help me get that first period. So I'm going to say it's trial and error. There's no set rules, you do you. I would say try reducing first, and then if that's not working and your doctor says that there's nothing more sinister going on, try dropping your exercise completely and just see what happens. Next question was asking about supplements, and I think I shared this in a previous video. When I first started, I was taking Angus castus, and this was recommended to me by a naturopath. And when you go to one of these places where somebody recommends this to you, I didn't ask any questions. She told me that it was good for female hormones and I started taking it. Only then when I started to do my own research, I found that there was a lot of negative research around Angus castus and people saying that it didn't help. So I decided to just stop taking it, and I haven't taken it since, and I have had cycles. But what I will say is that I do take supplements every day, not necessarily for amenorrhea, but to support my hormones. So I'm trying to remember. I take a B12 supplement every day. I take magnesium. I take a vitamin D because at the moment, with it being winter, we don't get a lot of sun. I take zinc. Another supplement that was recommended to me, and it's actually backed by research, and it was recommended by a coach, is, probably going to say this wrong, inositol. I'll write it here. And there is actually research done that suggests that this supports female hormones. So I'm not going to sit here and say there's like a magic supplement that you can take and it's going to help you get your period back, but they are just some of the supplements that I do take every day. And I would suggest doing your own research and seeing whether you think taking supplements is something that might help. Again, it's so individual, and it's just trial and error. So do the research. If there's a supplement that you think might help, give it a few months, try it, and just see what happens. The next question I got is, what diet do I follow? And there's no specific diet whatsoever. There's no specific diet out there that is going to cure your amenorrhea. The book that you would have heard people talk about a lot is the No Period Now What? And in that book it suggests that you should eat around 2,500 calories. My maintenance is 1,850, so for me to jump to 2,500 calories, I know I'm going to gain weight. And the argument is, if we gain a little bit more weight, our body feels safe, and then it can menstruate, because it's one of the last things that our body does. It's got other functions that it needs to focus on to ensure that our bodies are functioning to full capacity. Your menstrual cycle will always be the last thing, so only when your body feels safe to do so will it menstruate. Listen, if you want to go all in and try the 2,500 calories, then go for it. But I knew that rapid weight gain wouldn't help me mentally. So I just started eating at maintenance, which is what I said is 1,850 calories. Again, there was so much research out there telling me to like increase my carbs, increase my fat. So I did both. I ate 1,800 calories, I had no food rules, I ate as much carbs as I want, I ate as much fat as I want. As long as I was sticking to those maintenance calories, I didn't really worry too much about the macros. Eventually, I started to feel really uncomfortable in myself. I'll post a video down below that I did where I talked about my diet and amenorrhea and what I was eating, but I've just filmed an updated diet which I will be posting next week, because for me, I have found that a higher fat, high protein diet is more suitable for me and my body than maybe a higher carb diet. Again, you do you, trial and error, see what you thrive off most. Some people can eat loads of carbs and feel great. For me, I just feel really sluggish. I constantly crave sugar if I eat a lot of carbs, and I get crazy water retention. So for me, fat means I can hit my calories and I'm still feeling satiated, not got that sort of carb hangover where I'm then constantly chasing the carbs and the sugar. So as I say, what I eat in a day, high fat, high protein, is going to be the next video that I post. So keep an eye out for that if you want to see what my diet looks like at the moment. But what I would suggest is if you need to increase your calories because maybe you've got amenorrhea from under eating, then find a calorie calculator, calculate your maintenance and give that a go. And then just play around with your macros. Do you need more carbs? Do you need more fat? Always make sure you're hitting a decent amount of protein. See how your body responds to it, and hopefully that will help your body to thrive and then encourage that period to come back. Yeah, as I say, there's no one set diet, no rules when it comes to amenorrhea in your diet. It is just you figuring out what your body needs in order to be healthy and to encourage your menstrual cycle. The next question is, where are you up to in your journey? And at the moment, as I said, I have had 2 periods. They were 5 days long. They were 5 weeks apart, so like 35 days. At the moment, I am about a week out from my 3rd period, so I've not had my 3rd period yet. Fingers crossed it comes. And then I would have had 3 regular cycles, which is just amazing. If you go back and watch my old videos, you will see like how destroyed I was from this, and I was just so upset and I felt so let down by my body. This journey has been really tough for me, I have to say, but hard work, working on my relationship with food, working on my relationship with exercise. In hindsight, I hate to say it, but this is probably one of the best things that could have happened to me. I feel like I've got such a better relationship with food and exercise now, and I really understand the importance of looking after my body, not looking perfect aesthetically, but making sure that my body is healthy. So yeah, we're crossing our fingers for period number 3. Yes, I've gained some weight and I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable. I have to say I'm not as lean as I was before, but I do understand now that having a healthy menstrual cycle is a lot more important than having abs. I'm just going to say that now. So if you're sat there and you just can't see yourself reducing your exercise, increasing your calories, and you're worried about the way you look, believe me, you will feel so much happier in yourself when you're able to have a normal menstrual cycle. And you'll kind of forget about the fact that you want to look a certain way, because you might have abs, you might look shredded, but when your body isn't functioning, you'll still feel really bad about yourself. So just throw that out the window. No one cares about the way you look. What people want is for you to be healthy. That's where I am in my journey. We're waiting for period number 3 and I feel so much better about myself, so more confident. As I say, I'm thankful for this journey because I feel like I've learned so much about myself. And yeah, I will never go back to the way that I was before. Somebody said, I'm scared to eat more. How did you do it? I'm somebody who's always tracked my calories, and I just deleted the app. I just got rid of it. I just stopped tracking, and I really started to get in tune with my own body, listen to my hunger signals again, which I haven't done for so long, and eat when I'm hungry, stop when I'm full, and if I wanted some chocolate, I ate the goddamn chocolate. What I did was I made sure I had 3 meals, so breakfast, lunch and dinner, and then 2 snacks. So that was something that I could stick to, which I found easy. I didn't have to count the calories, but I knew if I got 3 meals and 2 snacks in, that I was probably eating around the amount of calories that I needed each day. I stopped looking at the packaging to see how many calories are in things. I stopped looking at the carbs to see how many carbs are in things. Just threw all the food rules out the window and just really concentrated on my goal, which was to get my period back, and told myself that I needed to do everything that I needed to make that happen. Like if you have a weight loss goal, you'll reduce your calories, you'll go to the gym more, you work so hard to get that weight off. You need to flip that and now work really hard to gain a bit of weight, use your training to get your period back. It is just a mind shift, which believe me isn't easy, and I had horrible days where I felt so uncomfortable. I hated the way that I looked, but I just had to keep reminding myself why. And most importantly, what I did was if I was met with a challenge around food, an aversion to food, something that I was scared of that I didn't want to eat, it was a fear food, I did it. And then I would look back and think, has that made a difference? Absolutely not. So you need to challenge these fears around food. Stop tracking so you don't know how much you're eating. Just try and make healthy choices. I'm not saying that I went out and ate loads of McDonald's, demolished bags of chocolate and things like that. I still made healthy choices. It's just that I didn't weigh my food and I didn't track it. I just ate as much as my body needed and my body thanked me for it. Just start small. Maybe if you're only eating 3 meals a day, add in a snack. Make sure that you've got protein, carbs and fat in each meal. And if you're a tracker, delete the app, start listening to your body, and your body will thank you for it. And the last question said, I've not had a period in a year, what should I do? If you're sat here watching this video and you've not got your period, please go and seek professional help. Me just going and speaking to a professional already made me feel better. They explained everything to me, the effects of the pill, my hormones, what it means to not have a period, how it can affect my body. And having that explained to me really made me realise that I needed to make some changes. Ask to have your bloods done. That will look at your hormone levels and it will give you a good baseline to see whether maybe there's something going on with your hormones that your doctor needs to investigate, or whether, like me, it was hypothalamic amenorrhea and you need to make some lifestyle changes. So I'd always suggest going and seeking professional help. The weight off your shoulders you will feel is unreal. And then you can make a plan of action with your doctor and you can start to implement some changes into your life. Believe me when I say there's nothing more humbling than when you get your first period after not having one for a long time, and you will thank yourself for all the hard work that you've done to get there. That would be my first advice, go and seek professional help. The last thing I want to say is, obviously for me, I have hypothalamic amenorrhea. It was something that I can fix. And obviously some people have no periods because they might have other things like PCOS, endometriosis, scar tissue and things like that. So obviously that's a little bit more complicated and something that I didn't want to touch on today because it's not my experience, it's not my journey, and therefore I don't have the information about it. And that's why it's so important to go and see your doctor, because they are the experts, can do the tests to look and see why you're not having a cycle. Then they can suggest the next step to get your period back. If you're wondering why I haven't mentioned any of these things, it's because I don't know much about it apart from a few books that I've read, so I would suggest going and speaking to a professional. The last question I got was about ovulation, because I've talked about this quite a lot, particularly on Instagram. And the reason that I tracked my ovulation was because if I was ovulating, then I should be getting a period. And if I was able to track when I was ovulating, roughly 10 to 14 days afterwards, I should have had a period. So you would have seen I use those ovulation sticks. They're a good way to track your ovulation. If you're not ovulating, that's information that you can talk about when you go and speak to your doctor and say that you've been tracking your ovulation and you're not ovulating. And that little bit more information will give your doctor a good idea of where to start in helping you on your journey. So if you're wondering where to start with this journey, start with that. Track your temperature every morning, because when you're going to ovulate, your temperature should increase. Do the ovulation sticks, and if you get 2 dark lines, then you're ovulating, and then see if you get your period sort of 2 weeks later. So that is what ovulation is. I don't even need those sticks anymore because TMI, my nipples tell me when I'm ovulating. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and it's given you a bit more information if you are also suffering from amenorrhea. Again, if you've got any more questions, please leave them in the comments below and I will get back to you. I will also link any other videos that I've done on amenorrhea below, but if you follow me on Instagram, I do share a lot more there. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.